Got it. There we
Awesome.
go.
Yeah,
Remember to do that on everyone you do now, because otherwise you'd be like,
yeah, yeah,
what they say.
yeah. I've got in the habit of writing stuff down as well, but
Okay,
that's just purely because my memory's awful.
I remember.
Yeah,
Joking.
yeah, yeah, that's it. First off, I wanted to ask you was how long have you worked in this profession? And that means not just like as deputy head, that means in
Yeah.
education as a whole.
Okay, so basically what happened was when I was in year 6, I always wanted to be, well, from being born up until year 6, I wanted to be a teacher. I really wanted to be a primary teacher because that's all I knew. And then when I got to secondary school, I just absolutely loved English. And so by year 9, I was like, I really want to be a head of English. Um, so all and I didn't change my mind once from year 9 onwards. I was like head of English, head of English. So I didn't I was the first person in my family to go to university. I didn't know how you got to university. So I just copied what my one of my friend's sisters did to get to be a teacher. So I did my degree in English and RE, and then I spent a year back in Swansea doing my PGCE, which is the training you do to be a secondary teacher. And then, luckily for me, I lived in both Cardiff and Swansea by then, so I thought, right, I'm going to apply for jobs in both. I applied for jobs in Swansea and in Cardiff, and one of those jobs was at Willows High School. So I got that job, and like I said, luckily for me, because not this doesn't happen to everybody, but I absolutely loved that school. So I've stayed there my whole career, even though I wasn't intending to. What I wanted to do was go to one job for 5 years, then change, then change, then change. But I don't know, there's something about the place. So I started there when I was 22, as an English and RE teacher. And then after 5 years, I thought, right, I'm going to leave and go to, try and get progression somewhere else. But it just so happened that the head of English was leaving at that time. So by 28, by the time I was 28, I was head of English. So like my dream had been fulfilled by the time I was 28 then. So I was like, oh, okay. Um, and I absolutely loved being head of English. So then I got married same year actually, and we had the kids. What was really good then is when we had Ellie, it was fine with Ben. I went back to work straight away and it was fine. But when I had Ellie, I just knew that the workload of being a head of English would be too much. So I asked if I could go part time, and I was really lucky because the head teacher at the time, she was like, "Yep, that's fine. You can go part time." So I did part time for 3 years as an intervention literacy teacher. Um, and that was really good as well because I saw the school from a different angle. And then after that 3 years, Rebecca, who had taken, she was my second in the department and she'd taken over my job, she decided to retrain to become a nurse. So the head teacher at the time said, well, now's the perfect time for you to go back to your old job. So I went back to my old job as head of English and then eventually was assistant head teacher in that role because at the time they were making heads of English, maths and science lead practitioners. So I became an assistant head teacher. And then a couple of years later, I became deputy head teacher. So still had to do like long interviews and or stressful application forms and whatever. So basically, I've worked in Willows for 20, I think this is my 25th year of working in the same school, but I've always been in a different like position throughout the school.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. Well, one question I was going to ask was, is Willow's your first job? Or obviously you've answered that.
Well, actually, though, when I was in college, so A level college, my first job was actually in WH Smith, and it was in the book department. See, I'm a very bookish type person. It was in the book department over the Christmas holidays. And then when I was in university, I did a mixture of shop work back at home, and my main job was a cleaner. So I was a cleaner in the DVLA in Swansea, which is the big offices, for the car things. And I was a relief cleaner. So in the summer holidays, when I came home from uni, all of those cleaners then wanted to go on holiday or Christmas holiday. So I would clean in their position while they were away. So actually, although Willows is my first like professional teaching job, I have done other things in the background.
Well, you were saying you like your books. I like the DK books. So you got the
Okay.
mythology book, you got the movie book, and all those. I like to read them, but I do like the Harry Potters and the Lord of the Rings as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a classic choice, Dale.
Oh yeah, of course. Um. Okay. What what qualifications do you need to become a primary teacher? Oh,
Okay,
no,
so
a high school teacher. Sorry.
well, it's the same really, to be honest. There's a couple of different little routes. So the main thing you need is a degree. And that degree can be really in any subject. Obviously, if you know what you want to teach, it's best to do it in that subject. But there are people that work in schools that may have a degree in, say, psychology, but they have decided they're going to teach science, for example, or they're going to teach a more secondary-based subject. So you definitely need a degree, whatever that might be in. If you're in primary, you can do a primary degree. So your whole degree is in primary teaching. But that, I always say to people, that means you have to be absolutely dedicated and sure that that's what you want to do for the future, because that degree is purely that based. I think if you're a bit half and half, you're better off doing a degree in a normal subject, like an academic subject. And then after you finish that degree, you do an extra year. It's called a PGCE, so a postgraduate certificate in education. And then that's an extra year where you have classroom experience. You go to 2 different schools of different contexts. So you might go to one more like school in a more aspirational area. Then you might go to one in a sort of lower socioeconomic area. So they give you a contrast. You go and have A-level experience. And then after that year, you either pass or fail. So you're qualified to become a teacher, and then you apply for jobs. That's the way most people do it. In Wales, we've got as well something called, it used to be called GTP. So basically you could train as you were on the job. So if there was somebody that was a really good teaching assistant, for example, and they had a degree, they could train when they were on the job. That scheme finished, but they've replaced it with like a slightly different scheme now. So there are people that can train while they're after they've been a teaching assistant, as long as they've got a degree. In England, it's a little bit easier. So if people were listening from England, and there's lots of different routes, and if they go on basically the government website, they'll find like about 6 or 7 routes into teaching that they could do.
Yeah. With your you've taught English. Have you? So I only just thought of this question because you said you studied it
Yeah.
university. Did you try RE? Did you go down that route?
Yeah. So I absolutely love RE. So my degree is joint honours, so it's half and half. So it's half English literature and half religious education. When you choose to do PGCE, you can only choose one subject at the time, or it still is actually. So I chose English, but I asked the course lecturer if I could do some RE on the placements, and they said yes. So I did a bit of RE. So when I first got my job at Willows, that was one of the good points actually, because I could teach both. So I taught mainly English. That was my PGC, but I had a couple of lessons. I think it was year 7 lessons of RE. And I enjoyed that because I could keep my hand in my other subject. But then it just depends what the school wants. So when the following year or the year after, we didn't have enough English teachers, but we had 2 RE teachers at that time. So they were like, right, Kel, you're going to be purely English. And also, I don't know if you remember, but they wanted to, Miss Tippins, she left and she was a media studies teacher. So they were like, oh, do you mind having a go at media studies? So I ended up teaching media studies then as well. So RE kind of went on the back burner. But every now and then when we look at the timetable, even now, they'll be like, Kel, do you want to teach some RE? And I'd be like, I'm up for it, you know? So if it ever came around again, I'd like it.
Yeah. It's one of the subjects which I really, really wished I paid more attention to RE. Same with history. You know,
Oh, yeah, history's fascinating, isn't it?
yeah, it's definitely something that I look back now, and I do like history. Certain eras are the ones I focus on. I like the French Revolution, and I like
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I do go back to them sometimes. World War Two, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
Day and all that. Yeah,
Well, I love the musical Les Mis, and that's based in the French Revolution, so I'm all over
yeah,
it.
that's it. That's it. Um, Obviously, this is another question that if you obviously all the questions are this, but if you don't feel comfortable answering it,
Yeah,
no.
it's fine.
When you were in the early days of learning your trade, um, did you feel like you had like a mentor of some sort, someone who would guide you through being a young teacher? And
Yeah, I was really lucky actually. So, when I first got to the school, what happens now is you have an NQT mentor. So that's somebody that mentors you in the school for the whole of the first year. Um, but when I qualified, that hadn't been introduced. So I was just naturally lucky because Julie Dunnan, who was head of English at the time, was, I know the kids thought she was probably a very strict teacher, but she was actually a brilliant role model, especially if you were a young teacher. So she taught me everything about English teaching. And then similarly, Keith Allen, who he was kind of the unofficial person that looked after PGC students and NQT people at the time. So he took me under his wing, and I was lucky enough to be a form teacher in his year group. So he was a brilliant influence as well, because he'd been teaching for years and years. So I was really lucky to have those two. And I always say that to guide me through the first 5 years. And we're all really good friends still. So we've been to visit Julie. She'll visit me when she's in Cardiff. Same with Keith. So Keith comes over every Christmas, Easter, brings my kids Christmas cards and presents and things. Um, we're still like lifelong friends, and it is really important to have somebody um, that is a good role model for you in those first 5 years. So, they help you through. And luckily enough, now for the last 10 years, I've been the NQT mentor at Willows. So hopefully the PGC students and the NQT teachers will be saying the same about me at some point.
I'm pretty sure they will be. Um, yeah, I've definitely had one of them in my life. I've when I was working with the charity, a lady called Alison. She showed me the ropes of the charity world, I guess. Um, but we went to like conferences around the UK, and she was actually the one who asked me if she wanted if I wanted to be a trustee. But yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
I've kept in close relation. I got a close relationship with her and her son. Her son has the same condition as me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, is I think it's really important when you're young and when you are, like I said, learning your trade. For you, it was obviously tutoring. Is that the correct term now?
Mentoring, they usually say, actually.
Yeah, mentoring,
Yeah.
mentoring, and for me, like I said, charity and other things. There's all sorts of like I said, trades. So yeah, like I said, I think that's very, very important. Um, if there was any, if there was, which of course there are, some young people wanting to learn about teaching,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
That's a good question. So basically, it's quite difficult when you're young. We used to have work experience in year 10, a lot of schools, but that's kind of stopped now. If you do have work experience in year 10, then go back to your primary school because there's no point going to a secondary school because obviously the people are the same age as you. So go back to a primary school to get experience there. If you haven't got work experience in year 10, which most people don't now, what might happen is when you go to A level college or when you're in A level, they might ask you to do some volunteering hours for your Welsh back. So if they ask you to do volunteering hours for Welsh back, go to a secondary school if that's where you want to teach, or anywhere where there's young people, and just start racking up your work experience that way. When you're in university, I think all universities will have something similar, but Cardiff University does an excellent scheme called the Classroom Experience Project. And you can sign up to that and you can go and get experience in any local secondary school. So that's what I did actually when I was in uni in my third year. I went to Cathays High School and I volunteered there for a while. So I am currently in charge of the people on classroom experience at Willows. So they come in and they might say to me they really want to work with well-being. So I put them in our well-being base. They might want to work with alternative educational needs. So I'll put them in our ALN base. Or they might just want experience in their own subject. So they might be linked to the science department or the English department. But that's a really good foundation just to make sure you absolutely know what you want to do. And then you can put that experience on your PGC application. And I know from, well, my own experience and from some of the people that have been on the scheme, I know that that's thought of highly because you've actually volunteered yourself in that workplace. And, you know, I think putting yourself out there, you get to not only get experience for yourself, but people get to see you. And, you know, I might remember someone who comes back in a couple of years for a job interview and they might have made a really good impression. So I think it is worth networking and volunteering.
Yes, I agree. Obviously, like I said, being in the charity, that I agree with that a lot. Volunteering gives you so much experience. The different people you talk to, they're absolutely brilliant. The volunteers, like I said, the trustees, the people you help, and you know, it's just been a fantastic experience, and I think it would be for those people looking for that experience as well. Um, but yeah, any other questions we could possibly think?
Let me just say. So this is aimed at getting young people into any different career. Is there? You're going to do different loads of different people?
Yeah, loads of different people over like today obviously we're talking about teaching and education. Next month we'll be talking about charities. I also got a friend who owns his own boiler company.
Oh, cool. So you're
Yeah,
having a variety.
it's going to be a very yeah, it's going to be a variety, and
Well,
hopefully
I think your last question to everyone should be something like why should young people follow your career path or something like that or your
yeah,
area? Okay, and I think my why young people should follow my area or should consider going into teaching or working with young people is because it's just the best and it keeps you young and it's just funny and working with teenagers especially just keeps you relevant, it keeps you up to date. And it's just a pleasure to see them, how far they come from year 7 to year 11. It's a massive change in a person. Obviously, just generally anyway, but also when you look at them academically, you think, right, I'm going to get them to this point by the time they leave school. So it's just a sense of achievement every day from something or other, but also at the end of 5 years, a 5-year journey.
Oh, wow. But yes, what about, again, I hope you don't mind me asking, but the difficulties that you might face in while
Mhm.
in teaching.
Yeah, so obviously, sometimes teaching gets a bit of a bad press. People talk about the decline in children's behaviour and this and that. However, it just purely depends on what type of school you're in, I think. And I think that as long as you follow the rules and you're very clear with them, we always say that we're firm but fair, or we're warm but we're strict, and that's what teenagers and all children really respect. They want to know clear boundaries. So as long as you're in a school where you've got these systems and processes in place and a really good SLT, which I hope we are to our staff, then that shouldn't be a barrier, shouldn't be a problem. There's other difficulties, of course. Sometimes, like naturally, your teachers might be having a bad day or the kids might be having a bad day. But I think that it's that ability to step away from it and realize that that's like natural. Not everyone's going to be 100% perfect all of the time. But that's what makes it enjoyable as well. So there are difficulties. It's not an easy job. You will have you will have teachers sometimes complaining about workloads, complaining about amount of planning. It's not easy. There is a lot to do. But like I said, if you've got a good organisation, you work for a good school, you've got an SLT, a senior leadership team that understands what's going on, then they will try their best. And I think we have to reduce that just generally day to day. But yeah, I think don't go into teaching thinking that it's a job that's 9 to 3 and that's the end of it. It does consume a lot of your life. But also, people are paid a professional wage. So they are, even though maybe it's 9 to 3, you are expected to work from kind of 9 to 5, work around those hours just to get everything up to date for the children in your care, which is, sensible, isn't it?
Well, I will say this is, people know that I don't didn't have a straightforward time in high school, but what I will say is I've always thought a lot about the teachers. I've thought
Mm-hmm.
they were absolutely fantastic and helped me through some difficult times. So
Yeah.
I want to say thank you to you guys for that. Um, but yeah, um, I just wanted to mention that as well.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
And pass my regards to Mr. Norman as well and Mr.
I
Bubbins.
will.
Yeah,
I will, don't worry. And well, a lot of like we saw the other day, a lot of the same teachers are still there. So I'll
yeah,
pass it to everybody.
good, good, good. What about, here's another question, something that, again, what groups do you do do you do choirs or anything like that in?
Oh, the extracurricular. To be honest, a little bit of everything, and it's all linked to different subjects. So, for example, in English, we'll have poetry, we'll have debate mates, we'll have I don't know, like guest visitors, guest speakers to the school, trips to places to do with English. But then in science, they have the planetarium coming in. They've got science club. They do some forensic work with Cardiff Uni. In expressive arts and drama, they obviously do choir. They do the school show. They've got lots of links with the Millennium Centre, the Sherman, and then the same for every subject really. So there's lots of different things going on. Obviously, our sports has grown over the years, thanks to Mr. Smith. And so we've got basketball team, a football team, girls football team. And that's what we're trying to expand at the moment. And when we get our new school building with slightly better facilities, which is coming up now next academic year, hopefully our sport will expand a lot more, again. So so generally there's something to do for everybody extracurricular wise in our school. We also do something called enrichment, which is new from when you were there. So every Friday afternoon, a teacher will choose a hobby of their choice. So when I first started doing it, mine was yoga. But there's everything from learning Chinese, art, spray painting, all different types of subjects. And the children from a mixture of year groups, not just one year group, will go together and in groups of 20, say, and with that teacher, and we'll learn something new. So things like henna tattooing, knitting, film club. I think there's over 40 different subjects they can choose from. So it's nice to put something a bit different into the curriculum.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My nephew, he's not just into football now. He likes the choir. He likes the choir quite a lot, and
Yeah.
he does it all the time. And
Well, that's good because we need more boys into performing arts. That's brilliant.
that's it. Super uncle. That's why I'm talking about him. I can't.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
I bet you're brilliant.
But yeah, I think it's really important to have those, like you said, extracurricular activities. And
Mm.
yeah, the Willows have got so many at the moment. Is awesome to hear. And um, the sport, as Mr. Bubbins was probably remember, I love sport. I've always loved sport.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I just have to mention reason just for the video. Reason I mention Mr. Bubbins quite a bit. He was my old PE teacher. He was, yeah.
Yeah.
He was my old PE teacher. So yeah, I love sport. I did. I do. I still do.
Well, good.
But yeah, now I'm much better with my English. I may not have started the greatest, but
Well,
no,
you
just
had other things going on at the time, so
I had,
that wasn't the priority, was it?
yeah, I had a lot of things going, but I do enjoy it now.
Good.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got. Do you want to add any more? Because we have got 25 minutes, but
I think that might be enough. I think
yeah,
you got all the key things out to me there, didn't you? That your like listeners or the people you're aiming, they'd be interested, I think, in, like you said, the qualifications, how you progress in the career, and then what the best and the worst, well, not worst, the difficult bits are. I think that's a
yeah.
good structure for this, Dale.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Remember to record when you do everyone else.
Yes, I will.
Write it down.
Record.
Write it down in big letters.
And I've got my on the one that I do my guitar. There it is.
There we go. Good. Well done. Good.
Yeah.
Are you going to how are you going to put these out? Are you going to write them up, or are you as interviews, or are you going to?
I'm gonna the main interview is gonna be a video.
Okay.
So we will do it, and then I'll post it out on the 25th, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 25th of every month. That's what I'm aiming to do.
As like a podcast or on a YouTube channel, or do
Well,
you not know yet?
I have aims to have it like as so maybe one day if it all goes successful, and all
Yeah.
this is, I would have my own place with a sofa, like do it on a sofa so everyone
Nice.
feels thing. But at the moment, this is how we're starting.
Yeah.
you know, so yeah.
So you're gonna edit this video now and then put that out, is it?
This one I might will, now we've discussed it, it's probably going to be just the main interview.
Okay, yeah.
So this one we know which questions we're going to ask.
Hmm.
I do like.
Maybe you need to have a little think.
That's a good point. Shall I put this one out? That wasn't originally the plan, but
Okay,
I think it's gone so well today
have
that
a think about it and then just let me know, okay? Because what I'll do then is I can promote it on our school Twitter and stuff like that, you know?
yeah.
Have a think, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, you might need a bit of editing.
Happy if I put this out on out then?
Yeah, yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a
Awesome.
think though, because you want to get your branding right and all of that, you know?
Yeah. No, you. Yeah.
Have a think.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna record. I'm gonna turn off record now.
Okay.
Stop recording. So